GWM just confirmed that they're tripling their electric vehicle lineup here in Australia, and one of them might be the cheapest electric car that you can buy here. The Aura, still really cheap. That is one of the cheapest cars you can buy here. That's fully electric, 33,900 Australian dollars, about 16,500 pounds. So in this video, I wanted to break down exactly what we know about the cars coming from GWM, which is currently the brand that sells the second cheapest car here in Australia. That's fully electric, obviously. We'll look at the 3 new models that have been widely talked about in the media and compare them to BYD and MG and what this might mean for people looking to buy an EV in 2025, 2026 next year. Hello folks, my name is Ben Alexxander. Thank you very much for joining me again. I really appreciate your time. Thank you to all the new subscribers, loads of new subscribers, just crossed 13,000 subscribers. Thank you as well to all of these people on screen now for joining as a YouTube member or a patron on Patreon. I really appreciate that. Without you, I can't really put the time aside to make the videos, like I've said before. So GWM currently sells one of the cheapest cars here in Australia, the Aura hatchback. Brilliant car, especially for the money as well. 34, just under 1,000 Australian dollars. And depending on which state you're in, you can still drive away with that brand new for 34,500-ish dollars, making it their cheapest model here in Australia. The range, WLTP on it, is 420 kilometers, which is brilliant. And it's about the size of a VW Polo, but it's fully electric. And it's called the Funky Cat in the UK, if you didn't know that. It's not perfect. It's front-wheel drive only, instead of rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive or something like that. And the tech is a bit odd in places. And I had a couple of issues inside when I was in it. And it's not as polished as the MG4, for example, or the BYD Dolphin, for example, or actually the BYD Seagull, for that matter. But for the price, it's kind of hard to beat. I think that's kind of one of the things that people are aware of when they buy an MG4. They can deal with the technology on the screen being a little bit naff, because the rest of it as a package for the money is brilliant. Even in the UK, where electric cars are seemingly quite a bit more expensive, BYDs seemingly are 75 to 100% more expensive in the UK than they are here in Australia. Lots of people buying MG4s and BYDs in Australia, so that's very good. So you can now get the GWM Canon Alpha plug-in hybrid ute, which is brilliant. A lot of people say it's better than the BYD Shark 6, so you can let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. So it's not fully electric, but it is definitely a step in the right direction. And here's why that matters. It uses a 2-litre petrol, turbo petrol engine, 120 kilowatt electric motor as well. Combined output is 300 kilowatts and 750 newton meters of torque. It's got 37 kilowatt hour battery, and that's massive based on the fact that it's a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. So 37 kilowatt hours, that's big. You can get some proper range in that. You get up to 110 kilometers of electric only range as well. That's NEDC, not WLTP, so a bit less, basically. Full-time four-wheel drive, rear diff lock. It's got 3.5 ton towing and tows very well, as the YouTube reviews show you, and 800 millimeter wading depth, which is brilliant. So this isn't a gimmick either. It's a proper ute with real off-road and towing capability, but you can do your daily drive without basically burning petrol, which is really great, especially in a place like Australia where we've got so much, almost infinite amounts of irradiant energy. It's really great. So the reviews online are fantastic, so you probably all know about that. I won't harp on about it too much. The prices. So you can get the Luxe version for $61,500 to $64,500 drive away, or the Ultra version, which is $68,000 to $71,000 drive away. That puts it directly up against diesel utes like the Ford Ranger or Tritons, things like that, and also the BYD Shark. So it's not a full EV, but a lot of people here in Australia love the Canon ute. And yeah, it's basically the most serious plug-in ute Australia has seen so far. It's kind of on par with the BYD Shark, but for towing and going up hills, we've seen definite issues with the BYD Shark. Although I'm not really a ute person typically, but I have been in the Shark, and I can tell you it's compelling. It's really nice. So let's get into the next 2 EVs coming after the Ute. So GWM has confirmed they'll have 3 EVs on sale in Australia by the end of 2026, next year. That means they're adding 2 more full electric vehicles on top of the Aura hatchback. So far, they haven't named what those models will be, but based on what they sell overseas, we kind of have an idea, really. There's a good chance we're going to see either a compact electric SUV, something like the Haval M6 EV, or an E version of the Julian or H6, possibly as well a more advanced hatchback or a crossover on a new platform. GWM has also confirmed 6 total new models are coming to Australia across this year and also next year, and 2 of those are going to be pure EVs to go as well with the Aura. So that would make the 3 vehicles. So if you're holding out for a GWM SUV that's all electric, it's probably not far off. Or you've got a couple of choices, I suppose, haven't you? Other than GWM, you don't have to get GWM. On top of that, they've also confirmed the Haval H7 hybrid is going to arrive next month, basically, and the Tank 500 plug-in hybrid also coming around October, so in 2 months' time from now. So they're covering different bases, as you can see. They're kind of doing not what Tesla are doing, but kind of like what BYD are doing, but just slower, because they're maybe some people would say they're less prolific. They're making less good cars and less of them, that sort of thing. What does this mean for the EV market? So GWM is positioning itself as a budget-friendly all-rounder for Australian EV buyers, I think, which is direct competition for BYD, because that's exactly what they do. The Aura gives them a city EV car for under $34,000, which is, with 420 kilometers range. The Canon Alpha gives them an electrified workhorse, which is, from a good brand as well, with real 4-wheel drive that can actually do all the hills and tow comfortably at 100 for hours, and with proper range as well. And by late 2026 next year, 2 more electric vehicles will fill some gaps. SUVs, sadly, it has to always be a SUV. But it's really nice because Mercedes are bringing back the shooting brake, so we're going to have a nice sporty wagon, which is really, really nice. And we've got some more hatchbacks coming, like the Seagull, obviously. So it's not like everyone is completely going to, SUVs and abandoning everything, because we've kind of got hatchbacks still and that sort of thing. If you're a regional buyer or a tradie who's been waiting for a proper hybrid or EV ute that doesn't really break the bank, this is something to consider. And if not, if you don't think it is, just go test drive one. Honestly, I think I remember someone in the comments maybe early this year or last year in South Australia who lives possibly rurally, and you said you were going to consider getting a GWM ute, the hybrid one, when it comes out. Did you buy one? I'm curious. You know who you are. And also remember, GWM already has a really good dealer network across Australia, especially in rural towns. So that's a massive advantage over MG, BYD, Tesla as well. GWM sold over 30,000 vehicles in Australia in 2023, up from 25,000 in 2022. That's 20% year-on-year increase. GWM also sold 43,000 vehicles in Australia last year, marking a 17.5% jump over 2023. So they're getting bigger in Australia. They're obviously taking some of the market, and that secures them a top 10 position in the overall new car market here in Australia. They now have 3% of the market share in Australia for the whole vehicle market, not just EVs. So let's look at the prices. Let's compare the Canon Alpha ute versus some diesels like a Hilux and that sort of thing. So you can go get a Toyota Hilux SR5 diesel dual cab ute for $63,260 drive away in Australia, or that's about £31,000 if you're in England, although for sure you'll probably be paying more than that in England. The Ford Ranger XLT diesel is $61,400 to $77,000, depends how you trim it, drive away. The Canon is $61,500 to $71,000 drive away, which is brilliant. Especially when you consider the fuel consumption, that's obviously one of the big deals here. So the GWM plug-in hybrid is now priced right next to the biggest selling diesel leaders in Australia, but with 110 or maybe, I don't know, maybe 90 kilometers realistically electric driving range. Let's look at some efficiency stats. So if you drive 100 kilometers in the Alpha, basically you'll get something like 17 to 20 kilowatt hours of energy per 100 kilometers. If you just purchase fairly cheap electricity in Australia and you don't have solar, which is wildly unrealistic, most people will have solar, especially if you've got an electric car, 30 cents, maybe 15 pence. So 30 cents per kilowatt hour. Maybe it'll cost you $5, something like that. The equivalent in a diesel would be maybe like $20, $22. So that's obviously a big saving. You know, that's obviously 4 times the price to drive the diesel car, and you pay kind of the same when you bought it, and you've got to service it. So from home, if you plug it in and you get the solar, that would basically be pretty much free, wouldn't it? And you can do most of your local trips without touching any fuel. GWM has over 90 dealership locations across Australia, including quite a few regional areas as well. In contrast, BYD still has fairly limited delivery centres and service centres, and MG kind of lacks rural coverage in some states. For people outside metro areas, that alone might tip the scales more to getting something else, basically, if servicing it is going to be easier for other brands. GWM offers a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty on all models, including the Aura and the Canon Alpha Ute. The battery as well has an 8-year warranty or 160,000 kilometres, which I think personally is too low. I don't think it should be 160,000. I think it would have been better to see a rounded up 200,000, just to show a show of confidence, basically. Servicing intervals for the Aura, 12 months, 15,000 kilometres, with capped pricing for 5 years, which is obviously a big deal because people are getting very annoyed with the pricing for getting cars serviced. The thing that I like, though, is that it's so useful to so many people here. The Ute, not obviously the Aura. Although the Aura is quite useful as well. The average tradie maybe does 30 to 50 kilometres per day. And they could do that entirely on a charge on the Alpha, which is brilliant. They could drive maybe for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, without having to charge. The downside, I think, would be for a lot of people, they think GWMs are kind of bad looking. And I kind of get it. You know, I've never had anyone say a GWM, any of them, are, gorgeous or sexy or like stunning. That doesn't really get said. And I can kind of see why. Although, when I have driven the Aura, I drove the sporty one, which that is actually that is pretty nice. It's up close, really, really nice. So the MG4 has outsold the Aura nearly 5 to 1 in recent months, despite being more expensive. So the next 18 months, GWM's going from 1 electric car to at least 5 electrified options here in Australia on sale. So would you consider buying a GWM EV or a hybrid over something like a Ranger or a Hilux if you're just an ordinary Aussie and you're not necessarily pro EV and you're just looking for a ute? Would you get one over a regular diesel? Or you could even consider, if you've got like $100,000 to spare and you want to get minute range, you could get an Isuzu D-Max electric, which that they should have done really good with that, but that range is terrible, isn't it? It's really not much at all. Is it 260 kilometre range? That's just not enough, really. Nice cars, really, really great, very well made, very reliable, but that's not a very good range, is it? And do you care that the Canon is a plug-in hybrid and not a fully electric car? What would you pay if it was full electric and it had a proper range of, say, 400 kilometres or something like that? Let me know in the comments. I always read them, and you can ask any questions you like. Thank you very much, and you're very welcome to subscribe. Stick around for more videos. I'm always making videos.